If you are over 50 and gardening feels harder every year, this video might quietly change the way you grow food forever. Imagine stepping outside, not to dig, not to struggle, not to start over every season, but to harvest food from plants that come back on their own, year after year, almost like they're taking care of themselves. No rushing, no heavy work, just calm, reliable harvests. These are the plants most gardeners never talk about, but once you plant them, you wonder why you didn't start sooner. Many people believe gardening is a young person's game. Bent backs, sore knees, endless watering, endless replanting. But the truth is, smart gardening actually becomes easier with age. You stop chasing trends and start choosing plants that give more while asking for less. That's exactly what we focus on here at PermaYield, growing food in a way that respects your time, your energy, and your body. Now before we go deeper, let me ask you something simple. What if your garden worked for you instead of the other way around? What if, every year, instead of starting from zero, your soil got better, your harvests got stronger, and your effort got smaller? That's the power of perennial crops, and once you understand it, annual gardening starts to feel unnecessary. If this idea already makes sense to you, make sure you subscribe to PermaYield right now. This channel is built for people who want long-term food security without long hours of labor. Subscribing means you won't miss the plants, systems, and ideas that quietly transform gardens into reliable food sources, especially as we get older. Perennials are different from the plants most of us were taught to grow. You don't plant them every year. You don't baby them constantly. You don't panic when the weather changes. Think about this for a moment. Every spring, millions of people spend money, energy, and time planting the same vegetables again and again. Tomatoes, peppers, greens, pulled out at the end of the season like they never existed. Perennials don't live that way. They're planted once, and then they stay, producing quietly in the background while you enjoy your garden instead of working endlessly in it. One of the most overlooked benefits is mental. Gardening should be peaceful, not stressful. Perennial gardens grow slower, steadier, and more predictably. You learn their rhythm. You trust them. They don't demand daily attention. That calm relationship with your garden is something many people rediscover after 50, and is one of the biggest reasons perennial growers rarely go back. Another advantage most people don't realize is safety. As we age, slips, falls, and overexertion become real risks. Perennial gardens require fewer tools, fewer heavy movements, and fewer long hours under the sun. You design once, plant once, and then mostly observe and harvest. The garden becomes a place of enjoyment again, not exhaustion. Over time, these plants also improve the soil without extra work. Their roots hold the ground together, feed beneficial microbes, and reduce erosion. That means healthier soil without hauling compost every season. Your garden slowly becomes more fertile on its own, which is exactly the kind of silent help that matters as years go by. In the next part, we'll start looking closely at specific low-fought, higher-reward perennial crops that thrive even when you don't hover over them. These are plants chosen not for hype, but for reliability, longevity, and ease. The kind that make you feel confident stepping into your garden, even on days when energy is low. But before we move on, take a moment and tell me in the comments how long you've been gardening. 10 years? 20? More? Or are you just starting now because you finally want something simpler and more sustainable? Your experience helps shape what we share here at PermaYield, and it helps others realize they're not alone on this journey. Let's start with a simple truth. Most gardeners learn the hard way. Not all plants are worth your energy. Some demand constant attention, perfect timing, and endless corrections. Others quietly grow stronger the more you leave them alone. For anyone over 50, that second group is where freedom begins. One of the best places to start is with perennial greens. These are plants that don't rush, don't bolt quickly, and don't punish you for missing a day or two in the garden. Once established, they wake up early every season, long before most annual vegetables even think about growing. That means fresh food when energy is still high and temperatures are gentle. What makes these greens special isn't just that they come back every year, it's how they respond to harvesting. Instead of weakening, many of them grow fuller and more productive when you regularly take leaves. You're not fighting the plant's life cycle. You're working with it. That kind of cooperation is rare in modern gardening, and it's exactly why perennial systems feel so calm and predictable. Another powerful category is perennial roots and shoots. These plants store energy underground, which means they're naturally prepared for drought, heat, and neglect. If life gets busy, if health slows you down, these plants don't collapse. They wait. When conditions improve, they return like nothing happened. That kind of patience is priceless. Many people worry that perennials take too long to establish. And yes, the first year requires some patience. But here's the trade-off. Most gardeners never calculate. You trade one season of patience for decades of harvest. Instead of planting every spring forever, you invest once and then enjoy returns year after year. That's not slow gardening. That's smart gardening. This is where PermaYield's philosophy really matters. We're not chasing fast results. We're building systems that age well, just like we hope to. Gardens should mature with us, not demand more as we get older. Perennials do exactly that. They grow deeper roots, stronger stems, and better resilience over time, while your workload keeps shrinking. Another hidden benefit is weather stability. As climate patterns become more unpredictable, shallow-rooted annuals suffer first. Perennials, with their deep root systems, ride through temperature swings with far less stress. They don't panic when rainfall changes. They don't collapse after one bad week. They're built for inconsistency, which makes them ideal companions in uncertain times. There's also something deeply satisfying about watching a plant you placed in the ground years ago still producing food today. It creates a sense of continuity, a reminder that some decisions keep paying off quietly. Many over 50 gardeners say this is what reconnects them to gardening emotionally. It stops being a chore and starts feeling like stewardship. You'll also notice that perennial gardens attract more life. Beneficial insects, birds, and soil organisms settle in because the environment isn't constantly disturbed. That natural balance reduces pests without chemicals and keeps the system healthier overall. Less spraying, less worrying, more observing. At this stage, some people ask, can perennials really feed me? The answer is yes, when chosen wisely and combined properly. You're not replacing everything overnight. You're building a backbone, a reliable foundation of food that shows up every year, no matter what else happens. In the next part, we'll move into some of the most dependable perennial crops that deliver high returns with minimal effort, especially suited for aging gardeners. These are plants selected not just for productivity, but for forgiveness. Plants that don't punish mistakes and don't demand perfection. Before we continue, if this approach to gardening feels like the direction you've been looking for, share this video with someone who's tired of restarting their garden every year. And let me know in the comments what's the hardest part of gardening for you right now. Is it physical effort, time, or unpredictable weather? Your answers help guide what we build together here at PermaYield. As we move deeper into this way of gardening, something interesting starts to happen. You stop thinking in seasons and start thinking in years. Instead of asking, what should I plant this spring? You begin asking, what will still be feeding me 5 or 10 years from now? That shift alone changes everything, especially for gardeners over 50. Some of the most valuable perennial crops are the ones that quietly blend into your garden without demanding attention. They don't look dramatic, they don't promise instant results, but they show up consistently, and consistency is what really feeds people. These plants become part of your routine, like an old friend you can rely on. Many of these perennials thrive with minimal soil disturbance. Once planted, they prefer to be left alone. No constant digging, no replanting, no exhausting bed preparation every year. This protects your joints, saves your energy, and allows you to garden longer into your later years without feeling worn down. Gardening should extend your life, not shorten it. One of the most overlooked rewards of perennial gardening is timing. These plants often produce food when annual gardens are empty. Early spring shoots, late season greens, dependable harvests during quiet months. That timing spreads your workload and your food supply instead of overwhelming you all at once. You also begin to notice how forgiving these systems are. Miss a harvest, the plant recovers. Skip a watering, deep roots handle it. Bad weather, they've survived worse. This forgiveness removes fear from gardening. You stop worrying about doing everything perfectly, and you start enjoying the process again. This is why so many experienced gardeners eventually simplify. They don't quit gardening, they refine it. They keep what works and let go of what drains them. Perennials fit perfectly into that mindset. They reward experience, patience, and observation rather than speed and strength. At PermaYield, We often say that the best garden is the one that still produces when life gets complicated. Life changes, energy fluctuates, family responsibilities grow. A garden that depends on daily effort becomes a burden. A perennial garden becomes a support system. Another advantage that matters more with age is predictability. Once perennial crops are established, you'll know exactly where your food will come from. You're guessing. You're rushing to plant before the season passes. You'll walk out, harvest, and return inside without stress. That predictability is a quiet form of security. Over time, these plants also reduce decision fatigue. Fewer choices, fewer tasks, less planning. Your garden becomes simpler, cleaner, and more manageable. That mental clarity is something many people underestimate until they experience it. And there's something else that's rarely discussed. Perennial gardens create a legacy. These are plants you can pass on. Cuttings shared with family, divisions given to neighbors. A living system that outlasts trends and calendars. For many over 50, this becomes deeply meaningful. As your garden matures, you may find yourself spending less time working and more time observing, watching growth patterns, noticing small changes, learning what each plant needs without rushing. This slower rhythm aligns beautifully with the natural pace many people embrace later in life. In the final part, we'll bring everything together and talk about how to start small without feeling overwhelmed, how to transition gently from annual gardening to a perennial-focused system that fits your space, your energy, and your future goals. Before we get there, take a moment and think about this question. If you could plant something once this year that would still feed you years from now, would you do it? Let me know your answer in the comments, and if this video is helping you rethink gardening, sharing it helps others discover the same calm, sustainable path we're building here at PermaYield. By now, you can probably feel the difference between this approach and the way most people garden. This isn't about working harder. It's about working once and letting time do the rest. For gardeners over 50, that mindset isn't just helpful, it's freeing. Starting a perennial garden doesn't mean tearing everything out or changing your life overnight. The smartest way is always slow and intentional. 1 or 2 plants at a time, one bed, one corner. You let those plants settle in, watch how they behave, and build confidence as they grow. There's no rush, because these plants aren't going anywhere. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to do too much at once. Perennial gardening rewards patience. When you allow plants to establish properly, they repay you with years of harvest. That first year may look quiet, but underground, the real work is happening. Roots are deepening, systems are forming, the future is being built. You'll also notice that as perennials mature, your role changes. You become less of a worker and more of a caretaker. You guide, you observe, you harvest. This shift reduces physical strain and brings a sense of calm that many people didn't realize they were missing. This is especially important as our priorities change with age. Time becomes more valuable. Energy becomes precious. Gardens should support that reality, not ignore it. A well-designed perennial garden respects your limits while still feeding you generously. Another quiet benefit is confidence. When your garden keeps producing year after year, you stop doubting yourself. You trust your decisions. You trust the system. That confidence spills into other areas of life because you've built something reliable with your own hands. At PermaYield, everything we share is built around this idea, long-term thinking for real people. Not perfect gardeners, not professionals. Just people who want food security, peace of mind, and a garden that grows better with age instead of harder. If you've been feeling tired of replanting, tired of rushing seasons, or tired of gardens that demand more than they give, this is your sign to try something different. Start small. Observe. Let your garden age with you. And now I want to hear from you. In the comments, tell me which part of gardening feels hardest right now. Is it physical effort, time, weather, or motivation? Your answer helps guide future videos and helps others realize they're not alone in this journey. If this video helped you see gardening differently, share it with someone who might need a calmer, more sustainable approach. And if you haven't already, subscribing to PermaYield means you'll continue learning how to grow food that lasts, without burnout, without pressure, and without starting over every year. Thank you for spending this time with me. Your garden doesn't need to be bigger or more complicated. It just needs to work for you. And when it does, it becomes more than a source of food. It becomes a source of peace.